Jason Stewart, CEO and founder of Epic Fighting, here with the legendary Epic Fighting matchmaker, the guy who makes the fights happen, the most important guy in the company other than me. Harvey Castellano, baby. Let's go. Y'all don't know how hard it was to get him in front of this camera.
That is true.
So I just want to start with it. How did you get involved with Epic Fighting? I love this story.
I was with you and I was telling you that you didn't have anybody doing social media. And he looked at it as an opportunity to get somebody to work for him for free. Absolutely. And you said, hey, why don't you do it? And I looked at it as I don't have to pay for a VIP ticket.
So I get even the double VIP.
Right. I get
even
to
better.
Sit cage side and not pay.
And going back a little bit before that, why were you at Epic Fighting?
Oh, because a childhood friend of mine was a huge Brandon Vera fan. And he called me when I was in the real estate office, said, hey, his gym is in your town. Can you find it? And, you know, Alliance was across the street from my dry cleaner. So I walked into Alliance and I signed up just to keep in shape and to learn about the business. And then next thing you know, you had an opening for a matchmaker.
But before that, you were at the Epic Fighting event just as an MMA fan. Because you didn't know a ton about MMA, but you learned about Brandon Vera. You went to see him fight.
Yeah, I learned.
He had a lot of fighters that were fighting for Epic Fighting. And so you were just showing up kind of as a fan.
Yeah.
He was spending the money for the VIP ticket. Yeah. And every show he'd show up, he'd have his ticket ready.
I bought one VIP ticket for every Epic Fighting show, go to his house, pay him in cash, and then he'd give me a discount, like homie discount.
Yeah. That's right. Actually, that's before it was like only online. We had the physical ticket.
Yeah, you had physical tickets. Yes, that's and I would buy the one ticket.
What was the first Epic show you went to?
7.
Epic Fighting 7. Wow. And that's back when we used to do them really frequently. So that's really only like a year into the company or something like that. Not even maybe. Yeah. So, all right. So you come and then next thing you know, you're part of the team. You're doing the social media. We're going to meetings. And then next thing you know, you're opening for a matchmaker and you become the matchmaker and you've been crushing it ever since. That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's also at the same time, Carlos moved from commentator to cage announcer.
And now he's cage announcer of the year.
Yeah. He's doing
MMA Hall of Famer.
He's flying to the Middle East all the time, flying all around the world. 30 different
countries he's announced in. He would have never went to all these countries if it wasn't for him announcing.
Right,
And he started at Epic. So those are the stories. So people always ask me, why would you do this for free for 7 years? Why would you put so much effort into a company where you're not making profit? Those are the stories that I love.
Well, it's the passion.
It's passion. It feels good. It's just like, you know, so-and-so, they got their start. You know, Juliana Killer Miller, like they started it, like they became Epic champ. Like all of these people that, you know, like it was life-changing and touched so many people in so many different ways. Coaches get purpose from it. Fighters get purpose from it. The fighters' families are excited to go out and see these fighters fight. It really trickles to a lot of people. The sponsors who, you know, their businesses change because of it, or they come and have great experiences because of it. So what do you feel like has been the biggest challenge in matchmaking? Because people don't know exactly what it is. So tell them a little. I think, because I match-made a couple of the Epic Fighting events, including the first one. And the first event that I did, they said, who's your matchmaker? And I was like, what are you talking about? They said, who's putting your fights together? Who's the matchmaker? I was like, why wouldn't I just do that? Like, and they're like, so you're going to be the matchmaker and the promoter? I'm like, yeah. How hard could it be? And I learned really quick that that's like, I'm not cut out for that. That was like a different, it's not only high stress, but I was ready to fight people. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm like, oh, you're going to just ghost me? I know where your gym is, bro. I'll be there. You know, and I was just like, this is not a good way to run an organization. If you're going to gyms and be like, hey, excuse me, coach, your fighter so-and-so. Can I say, I'm going to have to fight them now because what they did was disrespect. You know what I mean? So you handle it way better than I do. So tell us about some of the challenges of matchmaking.
Medicals. Basically, you're responsible for the fighters making sure that they get licensed and their medicals.
Right.
So you could put the greatest fight together, but if something in that chain is broken,
yeah,
the fight doesn't happen, as you know.
Yeah, they got to get their blood work.
Right.
They got to get
blood
their
work, license. They have to be physically cleared. They have to have their blood, no HIV, hepatitis B and C.
Yeah.
And then they also have to, after weigh-ins, get another physical.
Check them out again.
Right.
Make sure they didn't take anything crazy, which we've had happen. We've had fighters show up on drugs. We've had fighters show up like crazy stuff.
I mean, not on ours. On our card, I've seen it happen on other shows.
Yeah, you match a lot of different shows.
Well, I've also seen as like I saw a fighter high, and then the CAMO tested him because they smelled him, and that wasn't on our show. But I was shocked at that. Yeah,
that's crazy. Like high on weed.
Yeah, like you could smell it. He walked right by and went, and then next thing you know, like, hey, we're gonna test him.
Oh, hey, that should be a disadvantage. Like that. That's not a performing enhancing drug.
Right.
They should give those guys like a head start on the sports. So
you're high? All right. Well, you win round one.
We'll give you one round off the bat. So one of the funny stories is I was live on the radio, and this dude, he was a heavyweight, and his fighter name was Trainwreck. And they were like, yeah, Trainwreck. It's like Epic Fighting 1.
Yeah.
And so he's on the radio, and I'm on the radio with all these guys, and some of them went on to be like, big names in MMA. And the Trainwreck was like, yeah, they call me Trainwreck because after every practice, it's like a train went through and wrecked, and everybody's just laying out like you can't even move anymore. He was just talking. He was so good on the rails. I can't wait to see this guy fight. And so I was like, why hasn't he got his physical? Why didn't he got his? So finally, I'm like, look, I'm going to pick you up, take you to the doctor. We're getting the physical. The guy is doing his stuff, and he comes out. He's like, this guy can't fight. It's like, what do you mean this guy can't fight? He's the train wreck. He's a beast, all this stuff. He's like, bro, this guy's got high blood pressure. His arteries are clogged. He's like pre-diabetic. I was just like, so I lost the fight because the guy was so unhealthy, but he talked the biggest game.
Well, imagine me losing a fight because the guy has a problem with you. That's happened to me too.
Really?
Yeah.
I never hear about it.
Oh yeah, you don't hear about it, but if I told you, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Tell us about some of the egos that some of the fight.
But we only have how much time do we have? No.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of fighters have big egos where it's understood, but then there are some of them who they think that they're better than they are, and they duck other people. I wish everybody would just be true to themselves and just treat it as an amateur. Where if you want to be a pro fighter, is where you make all your mistakes.
Yeah.
Stop ducking people. Fight. Learn.
I have people come up to me like, "I'll fight the champ."
Yeah.
If you do XYZ for me, and it's like, bro, you haven't even won a fight yet, and you're asking us to do all of this stuff for you to fight this guy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The sport itself does have a lot of egos. The gym owners have egos. The coaches a lot of times have egos, and not all of them, but generally speaking, yes. And to their defense, these people aren't getting a lot for what they're giving. Meaning, like if you're a coach, you're putting a lot into these fighters. Right. Usually, you're not. It's not getting reciprocated with money. It's not usually getting reciprocated with accolades or even like, people even giving you the respect that you deserve. So you're really doing it for a passion. And same thing with
100% right.
And a lot of the gyms don't make a ton of money. So you're a gym owner, and it's like, at what point do you just go on to your real job or your real business that's making the money and keep pouring over here? So some of them have figured out how to make it profitable, but some of them it's become a passion project as well. Right. And so they kind of deserve some recognition. So I understand where some of them are coming from. But when I came into it, I was like, this is it's a space where there's a lot of ego. We don't want to take over the pie. That was one of the first things that I said. This is the MMA pie. Our goal isn't to be like, we got all of this pie and we're only leaving this much for the rest of it. The goal is to grow the whole pie.
Yeah, well, this is the San Diego pie. Yeah. And the whole pie is ours.
Well, right. And I think a lot of people didn't last because of the ego. It's like their ego was so big that they didn't last. They let it get the better of them. You know what I mean? And if you were doing it for the right reasons, it probably, they might have left a little bit more of a legacy or changed a few more people's lives and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was very ego ridden, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. Yes.
But what are some of your favorite things about doing it? Because I tell people all the time, I could pay someone a 6-figure salary and they would not do your job. Like if there's not passion there, people aren't doing it. Like this is a very much like, and the people who love it. Like what me and you do, it's like we could do other stuff and probably have a lot more external benefits, but the intrinsic value is where it's at. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when we had 2 people on The Ultimate Fighter in back-to-back years, I think that says a lot for the program that we run and the fighters that have come through us over the years. With Juliana Miller and Trevor Wells.
Yeah.
They were both champions for us, and they were both fighters who fought a lot for us. When you see stuff like that happen and they take it to the ultimate level, which is the UFC, it holds a feeling in here that you can't buy. Money can't buy that type of feeling. And that's one of the things that I get out of it. It's the pride and the results from the passion that.
Something that a lot of people don't know about you is, so a certain amount of time before each show, you what do? You don't drink alcohol, or you stay clean or something, and then you celebrate after the show type of thing?
Yeah, to keep focused, because it's the most stressful time period for the fight and the event. And if I'm going to have a drink every time some fighter upsets me or if something goes wrong, I'm going to be drinking for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I don't
at
all. Just clean.
Just clean it
But
up.
then you see me after the last fight.
Yeah.
I'm a lot of fun after the fight. So.
And I think you and I both have the same thing where it's like, some shows are more stressful than others. For me, it's usually like financial, like we got the money's coming in. You got to keep the sponsors happy. You got to make sure that the crowd is there to keep everybody happy. And for you, it's putting on the fights. So when everyone comes in, they get what they pay for. So it's like stressful. And I know for me personally, there's been many shows that I'm like, why am I doing this? This is so stressful. This is so hard. I could just put this effort into my other businesses or real estate or whatever. And then the show happens and you're just like, you look out into the crowd and you feel the energy and you're just like, everyone's coming up to you like, thank you. Wow, this happened. And you're just like, oh yeah.
And we've talked about it.
That's why I do this.
And the Saturdays and the Sunday after our show, we're like on cloud nine.
Yeah. Like we barely sleep for like the whole weekend. We're just like, why? I haven't slept yet, but I'm still going. I stay up. So you go right into like celebrating. I stay up working until like 5 in the morning. I'm just like looking at what everyone's posting. And I mean, I have some fun too, but if you see me, I'm on my phone and I'm just like, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like telling my crew, like, I hope you guys can take some of this stuff that I'm doing and get it off my plate. But nobody wants to work from 1 in the morning till 5 in the morning. You know what I mean? After the event.
Yeah.
But that's how my brain works. I'm like, no, this is the time to double down. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's sharing it. And so
you hardly communicate with me right after the fights are over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. We got epic matchmaker Harvey Castellano on camera. This is really exciting. We got to do this again. There's so many more stories that we could talk about.
And a lot of stories we can't talk about.
A lot of stories we can't talk about. Epic Fighting on Instagram, Facebook, and epicfighting.com on the interwebs. See you guys later.